Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we have a story that will definitely make you think twice about travel safety. What was meant to be a relaxing getaway to Thailand ended up turning into a terrifying scam. Discover how this guy's dream trip turned into a nightmare and the important lessons he learned along the way. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to support the channel. All right, let's get into it.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael. I want to share a story with you that I hope will be a helpful warning and lesson for anyone planning to travel to Thailand, or really anywhere in the world. Traveling can be exciting. You get to see new places, meet new people, and try different things. But what happened to me during my trip turned into a scary experience, and it reminded me how quickly things can go wrong if you're not careful. What I went through was one of the most frightening moments of my life. Imagine being in a place you don't know, with people you don't understand, and suddenly finding yourself stuck in a bad situation, not knowing how to get out. It's the kind of fear that makes your heart pound and your mind race for answers. Thankfully, I made it through safely, and that's why I'm telling you my story now. I want to help others avoid ending up in the same kind of trouble. So whether you're an experienced traveler or planning your first trip, I hope my story will help you stay safe and avoid the same mistakes. Let me tell you what happened. I'm an architect from Belfast, and a few months ago, after working long hours and feeling completely burned out, I knew I needed a break. Work had been really stressful and I just wanted to get away for a while. So, I booked a month-long trip to Phuket, Thailand. My plan was simple: relax, explore, and take a break from everything back home. Phuket sounded like the perfect place to do just that. I had heard about its beautiful beaches, especially Patung Beach, which seemed like a dream spot. Imagine golden sands, clear blue water, and a fun, lively atmosphere. The nightlife there was famous too. Lots of bars, street markets, and a chance to meet people from all over the world. It seemed like the perfect mix of relaxing during the day and enjoying the lively scene at night. I was excited to spend my days in the sun, taking in the beauty of the beach, and my nights checking out the local nightlife. Everything was going great. The island was just as amazing as I had hoped. Beautiful beaches, warm weather, and a relaxed atmosphere that made it easy to forget about work. I spent my days enjoying the sun, swimming in the clear water, and exploring the local markets. I met people from all over, other travelers, locals, and even some expats who had made Phuket their home. It was a nice change from the busy life back in Belfast. At night, the island came alive. The bars and streets of Patong were always full of people, music, and delicious street food. One night, after having a few drinks with some new friends, I decided to try something different. I wasn't looking for anything serious, just someone to hang out with and maybe explore the island. So I downloaded a popular social app thinking it might be a fun way to meet someone who could show me around. That's when I matched with Noi. Her profile was simple. She seemed fun and easygoing, the kind of person who knew all the cool local spots. She had a smile that instantly drew me in, and she seemed genuinely interested in me, which was a nice change from the usual tourist crowd. She wasn't just asking the usual questions like, "Where are you from?" She really wanted to know about my life, my work, and why I came to Thailand. It was a nice change, and I felt comfortable talking to her. Soon we started chatting all the time. I'd wake up to messages from her and find myself checking my phone throughout the day, excited to keep the conversation going. She told me she was an art student, which immediately caught my attention because, as an architect, I've always loved art and design. She seemed to really understand my passion for architecture, and we spent a lot of time talking about creativity, art, and how we both saw the world. She also shared a lot about her own life and culture, telling me about her favorite places in Phuket and her dreams. I liked that we had so much in common. It wasn't just small talk, it felt like a real connection. After a few days of messaging back and forth, we decided to meet in person. Our first date was at a cozy cafe with a beautiful view of the sea. The place had a relaxed, welcoming vibe with soft lighting and comfortable seats. It felt like the perfect spot for a calm and enjoyable evening. From the moment we started talking, it was clear that we clicked. The conversation flowed easily. I ended up sharing more with her than I had planned, about my career, my goals, and even personal things that I usually keep to myself. Noi was really interested in what I had to say. She asked thoughtful questions and shared her own stories, which made me feel understood and appreciated. We talked about our favorite books, music, and the little details of our lives. It felt like we were connecting on a deeper level, not just making small talk. As the evening went on, we lost track of time. The sky turned beautiful shades of orange and pink as the sun set, and the cafe was lit up with twinkling lights. We laughed a lot and enjoyed each other's company. By the end of the night, I felt like I'd met someone special. As the days went by, Noi and I got closer. She took me to a quiet hidden beach that wasn't crowded with tourists. The beach was beautiful, clear water and soft sand with no one else around. We spent the day swimming, relaxing, and talking. It felt like we were in our own little world, away from the busy tourist spots. That evening, back at my hotel, Noi sent me a playful message asking for a picture of me on my balcony. I was feeling good about how things were going between us, so I took a photo and sent it to her. She sent one back, and our messages started to get more flirtatious and personal. We began sharing more intimate photos with each other. I felt like I could trust her, and it seemed like a natural step in our growing relationship. I enjoyed feeling close to her, even when we weren't together. Everything felt right, and I was excited about where our relationship was headed. The next morning, I woke up to a terrible shock. Still groggy from sleep, I saw a message from an unknown number on my phone. It was horrifying. The message had all the private photos I'd sent to Noi and demanded 150,000 baht. The blackmailer threatened to send these photos to everyone in my contact list, my colleagues, family, and friends. I felt a sickening fear as I realized they had my contact details. This wasn't just a threat. They actually had access to my phone numbers and could ruin my life by sharing these photos. The message made it clear they were serious. I broke out in a cold sweat, struggling to understand what was happening. The thought of my private photos being seen by people I know was terrifying. I started to panic, trying to figure out how they got into my phone and what I could do to stop them. It was a nightmare situation, and I felt completely trapped. I immediately tried to contact Noi, hoping that maybe there was a misunderstanding or that she could help. But when I dialed her number, it was disconnected. My heart sank even further. That's when the horrifying realization hit me. I had been scammed. The person I thought I could trust had used me to get what they wanted, and now I was left dealing with the fallout. Panic set in as I grappled with the reality of the situation. I was alone, facing a threat that felt overwhelming and inescapable. The thought of those private photos being shared with everyone I know was unbearable. My mind raced with fears of how this could ruin my personal and professional life. I knew that paying the ransom wouldn't solve anything. It was clear that these scammers would just come back for more money, and there was no guarantee they'd stop even if I paid. The blackmail could go on indefinitely, leaving me trapped in a cycle of fear and demands. I felt utterly powerless, unsure of what steps to take next. Should I report it to the police? How could I even begin to explain the situation? My thoughts were chaotic, and I was caught in a whirlwind of anxiety and dread. The nightmare wasn't just about the photos, it was about the uncertainty of how to protect myself and put an end to the scam. In my desperation, I rushed down to the hotel lobby, my mind racing and my heart pounding. I was anxious and embarrassed, but knew I had no choice but to seek help. The lobby was bustling with tourists and staff, but I spotted the hotel manager, a calm and composed woman named Kanya. I approached her, trying to keep my voice steady as I asked if I could speak with her privately. Kanya led me to a quieter corner of the lobby, away from the curious eyes of other guests. I explained the situation to her, my voice trembling as I described the blackmail message and my fear of what might happen next. To my surprise, Kanya listened attentively and without judgment. She didn't make me feel ashamed or awkward, which was a relief in such a stressful moment. After hearing my story, Kanya reassured me that this type of scam was unfortunately becoming more common in Phuket. She advised me against paying the ransom, explaining that it would only encourage the scammers to demand more money and might not even guarantee that they'd stop harassing me. Instead, Kanya suggested that I reach out to a local journalist named Sunan. Sunan had been investigating similar scams in the area and might be able to help or provide guidance. Kanya introduced me to Sunan, and he turned out to be a true lifesaver. When I met him, I was immediately struck by his calm and reassuring demeanor. Sunan was well versed in handling this kind of scam and knew precisely what steps to take. First, Sunan helped me file a report with the local police. He walked me through the process, making sure all the details were properly documented. His familiarity with the local system was a huge relief, and he made sure I understood each step as we went along. Next, Sunan reached out to the Irish embassy on my behalf, ensuring they were aware of my situation and could offer any additional support or advice. But Sunan didn't stop there. He introduced me to a local support group made up of people who had gone through similar experiences. Meeting them was both eye-opening and comforting. Their stories were a mix of horror and hope. Some had faced very serious threats, while others had found ways to cope and move forward. Hearing their experiences made me realize that I wasn't alone in this, and their advice and encouragement helped me start to regain my confidence. Being part of this group also provided practical tips on dealing with scams and managing the emotional stress that comes with them. They shared strategies for protecting personal information and ways to handle ongoing harassment. Knowing that there were others who understood what I was going through made the situation feel less isolating and more manageable. Sunan's support, along with the encouragement from the local group, gave me a renewed sense of hope and helped me start to take control of the situation. Over the next few days, Sunan took the lead in investigating the situation. He worked hard to find out where the blackmail messages were coming from. We soon discovered that a group of scammers was operating from a nearby island not far from Phuket. Sunan shared this information with the local police, and together they gathered the evidence they needed. The police organized a raid and were able to shut down the scammers' operation. Several people involved in the scam were arrested. When I got the news, I felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. It wasn't a complete end to the problem, but it was a big step in the right direction. Knowing the people who had blackmailed me were caught brought me a sense of relief, and I finally felt like I could breathe again. I won't lie, the whole experience shook me to my core. For a while, I felt like my trip was ruined. I was constantly looking over my shoulder, and the weight of what had happened stayed with me. But after some reflection, I made a choice. I wasn't going to let this one awful event define my entire time in Phuket. So I took a deep breath and decided to move forward. Yes, I was more cautious now. I double-checked everything, stayed off social apps, and was careful about who I trusted. But I didn't let fear take over. I got back to exploring the island, this time with a fresh perspective. I made new friends, real connections that made me feel more grounded. I hiked through lush jungles, visited temples, and found hidden beaches where I could reflect and recharge. There was something healing about seeing the island with new eyes, appreciating its beauty despite what I'd gone through. Before I left, I sat down with Sunan one last time. We shared a cup of coffee overlooking the beach, and I told him everything, every detail of what had happened, from the first innocent message to the terrifying blackmail. Sunan listened thoughtfully, and he asked if I'd be willing to let him publish my story to warn others. I agreed, knowing that if my experience could save even one person from falling into the same trap, it would be worth it. Sunan's article was published in the local papers and online. It wasn't easy seeing my story out there, but I knew it was important. The feedback was immediate. People reached out, some thanking me for sharing and others opening up about their own close calls with similar scams. I realized then how widespread this problem really was, and I was glad to be a part of raising awareness. Now I'm telling it again here because I want to keep spreading the word. Trust is a beautiful thing, but it's also something that should be given carefully, especially when you're in a new place. When you're traveling, it's easy to let your guard down, to get caught up in the excitement of meeting new people and experiencing new things. But not everyone has good intentions. It's important to stay vigilant, protect your personal information, and if something feels off, don't ignore it. There are good people out there, like Kanya and Sunan, but there are also those who wear painted masks, hiding their true intentions. I learned that the hard way. But if my story can save just one person from going through the same nightmare, then every word has been worth it. We all think it won't happen to us until it does. That's why I'm telling this, to remind you that no matter how smart or careful you think you are, there are people out there who know how to exploit vulnerability. But there are also ways to protect yourself, and it starts with staying aware and listening to your instincts. So, thanks for listening to my story. I hope it makes you pause and think the next time you're in a situation where trust is on the line. Enjoy your travels, meet new people, explore the world, but do it with open eyes. Stay safe wherever you go. Peace.